Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about American politics, and we're going to talk about the Joe out, Kamala in era. And I'm going to continue to explain why I'm voting for Donald Trump, which is shocking to me. I have to say, I never expected in my life I would ever vote for Donald Trump, but personally, actually, yeah, this is the safest, the safest, not to say, the shortest way to explain this is 2016 to 2020. I would have conversations about, should I buy, let's get there. What's the fastest way to say this? My money was safe and my world was safe, right? I had money in the bank, and war wasn't, and there was no open discussion on whether America would descend into a second civil war or whether we were already in World War III. Like, it's just, and I was safe from crime, right? During President Biden, during Harris's reign, because clearly President Biden never made a single political decision while he was president. He just sat there drinking tea, and they put letters in front of him and he could sign his name half the time. Like, it's very clear now that we had 2020 to 24. We don't really know what was president, right? Like, we do know Harris has responsibility. I don't think she made any governing decisions either, but she owns the responsibility, because she was coherent during that time, of whatever, whether it was an AI, a demon, or an alien. Whatever was ruling the country during those 4 years, she's responsible for it, because she could have done something to stop it, because she was able to form coherent sentences. Could have said, "Hey, demon, you don't belong. It's not appropriate for you to lead the American people." But she didn't, right? She was like, "Hey, nice horns," or like I don't know. This is bad. Okay, so and so I need a world where I can have money in the bank and there's no war. I just cannot do another 4 years of Kamala Harris, right? I can't do it, right? So let's talk about the stakes. The stakes. What are the stakes of Kamala Harris getting in? All right. So Nate Friedman, he's got a great channel here on YouTube. Does what I do, puts up content as often as he can, right? And he just did a fantastic interview where he just walked around Borough Park, which is the most Orthodox Jewish community in the United States of America. It has the most Orthodox Jews of any one neighborhood, right? And so he went there, and he just went, and he was like, "Hey, who are you voting for? Who are you voting for? Who are you voting for?" Every single person was like Trump, right? And Nate Friedman, I was a little disappointed in him. I thought he was very disrespectful. He was incredibly dismissive of their opinions. A young man in the same community as them. Some of these were extreme elderly men, some elderly women. He should have had a little respect in his mouth. He was incredibly disrespectful, in my opinion. But he did do a good job of getting their opinion, and he did like a dozen of them, right? Of these Orthodox Jews, and every single one, men and women, Trump, 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 right? And the reason why is, like, one guy's like, "Why are you even asking? Like, don't you know, right?" And their point was, and they said it across the board. They're like, if Kamala Harris gets in, our people die. Our people die, right? Like, the world is coming for us. Like, Trump made Jerusalem the capital, right? And he loves Jews, right? Like, and Kamala Harris, if she gets in, we die. We die. This isn't like, "Oh, I hope I can get a good policy." We die, right? Like, they were like very clear. They're like, if Kamala Harris gets in, Jews die, because she will do nothing against the enemies who are trying to murder us and take us captive every single day, right? And once I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, right? That's the stakes of this election, right? If Kamala Harris gets in, Jews die, in my humble opinion, right? It's just, and apparently, in the humble opinion of every single Orthodox Jew in Borough Park. Like, yeah. And then, from what we saw, right? Then, if Kamala Harris gets in, she's going to push back in Roe v. Wade. Millions of unborn children die, right? If Donald Trump gets in, he calls Putin on day one as like, shut down that noise in Ukraine, and Putin's like, you got it, buddy, right? Kamala Harris calls Putin, and the phone rings, and Ukrainians die every day. Kamala gets in, Jews die. Kamala gets in, unborn children die. Kamala gets in, Ukrainians die. Kamala gets in, people die. People die every single day in numbers that are unheard of, right? It's just too much. The stakes are literally life and death, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.